we added them up, for the book, he used about 25 different voices.
Oh, wow.
I know, he's absolute genius. Anyway, and I make a few appearances as well, egotistically. Like I will, read a couple of the press articles and appear in an interview. There's an interview supposedly from TV where I'm being asked about the book. So anyway, another of these add-ons, and so it took 3 weeks, and then I started to do the audio editing, and this took me 5 months. And when I say 5 months, I mean it was totally compulsive. I would work 12 hours a day with the headphones on, and just sort of removing just a tiny little intake of breath, which was too much, and just adding another version to that, and then we'll follow that on with this. It was totally obsessive. But I have never done anything so enriching in my life. It was like a mission. It was like like a call to God. I don't know anyway. But anyway, it was compelling. And so that ended up, it wasn't 65 hours like Les Miserables, but it was 23 hours and 45 minutes, so give or take a whole day of listening.
Wow. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I was just saying, but I mean it's not that long. The Lord of the Rings books, I think, are longer in terms of listening. But you can. The great thing about audiobooks is that you can multitask. You can be going to work. You can be in the metro and sort of with 20 people pressing against you or whatever. I mean, and you've got this whole world in your head, and it takes you away completely. It's very good for driving. Interestingly, as you probably know, that there's been quite a boost in audiobooks in the last I don't know, 10 years or so.
Well, especially in the last year or two. I mean, Amazon's really pushing it. So, I mean, one of my sons got involved doing some of audiobooks and stuff like that. I mean, the thing is just like blossom and blooming, like you wouldn't believe, and they're looking for people to do it.
Absolutely. Oh, no, absolutely. And one category of people, interestingly, who listen to a lot of audiobooks are truck drivers.
Wait a minute, Gordon. That's competing against my show. We were voted number 2 for truck drivers listening to our show late at night, listening to the replay. So now I'm competing against you?
No, it's not quite the same. Because it can happen if you're in the truck. Maybe you can't pick you up, huh?
Well, if they have the internet, they can pick me up. If they don't have the internet, they're not going to hear me.
Yeah. Anyway, so that goes. I mean, it's arguable that we've sold more audiobooks than we have of printed books. I'm not quite sure of that, but anyway, it sells steadily, and. Without me doing any advertising or anything, because of course you're in a much smaller pond, because although audiobooks are blossoming, they're still way behind the number of books there are in print. So people have got less to choose from. And so if they're looking for fantasy, or if they're looking for ancient legends, or if they're looking for reincarnation, there's quite a good chance that they're going to pick up on this one. And once they hear Bill's fruity voice on the sample, it does kind of take them into it. So that's quite good. But audiobooks, anyway, in general, except when, of course, they've got a great radio station to listen to, it is an interesting option. And I mean, you can walk the dog. You can be even in the supermarket and listening to your favorite story.
Or you can be like I do, like in bed at night, listening to, I do listen to that type of stuff at night. And, not because I just have problems sleeping. So I like listening to that stuff. And you know what? Years ago, I was hooked on watching TV. Now TV is like second thing. I mean, now I rather listen to audiobooks or listen to, other talk shows even. But audiobooks is really, my main thing right now. I will say this. I think your marketing had a lot to do with it too, because from what you're telling me, you were very talented in, advertising marketing. So, I mean, I think that probably has a big effect on what's happening here with this.
Well, no. You see, all these various things that I've done, they have all sort of come together, and it's. It reads a bit like the plot of a book. In fact, if you read it, you would say, well, some of these coincidences and these happenings and happenstances, are pushing the envelope a bit. But I mean, they did happen. I was always in the right place at the right time, and things kind of fell into place. But I do think that this applies to everybody. If you start really looking at what happens in your life. There is, even when things go horrendously wrong, there is a reason to it. And if one can start connecting to that reason, a whole new realization of life can open up. And I guess you would agree with that, no?
Well, I do, and put it this way: you started the book in the 70s, right? You basically were they didn't want to publish it. Now you published it in 2016, and it's going going great. And I think it was when you first did. You were way ahead of your time. You were.
Well, I guess yes, I guess, and I didn't realize it. Because when I started reading it again, I was quite surprised. I thought, and there were sort of one or two surprises in it that I'd forgotten about. And there was one point where he loses his fellow traveler, and I dropped the book in. I said, "What? My God, that can't be true." And it was quite a revelation. So I almost felt as if I didn't really feel like I had written it. By the time I came to it, 30 years later, it was almost as if I were finding the documents under the Antarctic ice all over again.
Oh yeah.
So it sort of seemed to be it was outside of me, but everybody who's read it or listened to it, they have said, and this is very gratifying. They've said it's extremely visual, and of course it is extremely visual because thanks to Joffre and Ellen and their meta realist painting. It looks so. It means that I had managed to paint with words, and that's really very, very gratifying. One of the interesting secondary stories in all this is a story about a research institute called the PLMRI, which is based in Switzerland, in Lucerne. And this is the past life memory research team who collect people's memories of previous lives, and who put out an ad saying if anybody can remember living a life in a very distant time in a golden city on Antarctica, please get in touch. And this is how the Research Institute was able to contact Martha Calrow Calbro, and her unique dreaming diary, in which she actually does go back to Xanthonatis and witnesses a certain number of major events which are described in the book. And also there are ads inviting people to write in and share their stories, and maybe their stories of Xanthonatis, and quite a few people have written in.
How many roughly did you get? I mean, did you get bags full of it?
Oh, well, no, I didn't get bags full of it. No, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, half a dozen or so, or 6 or 12, I don't know. But in fact, there was one guy who, actually, he's probably not very far away from you, because he lives in Washington State, and he was absolutely certain that he had lived in Xanthonatis, and for him it was absolutely true. It was opening up avenues of self-discovery which he never knew were there. I mean, he was really converted, shall we say, to the idea, and as I said, and being converted to the idea, this is in line with the manifesto of the Neo-Xanthonatist order, which is spreading, trying to spread the message of Xanthonatis to everybody, and so he would be, he would make an excellent member of the order, but it's not a sect. It's strictly for people who want to discover themselves.
Oh, wow. I mean, how about the other people that wrote to you? I mean, were they convinced, too, that they reincarnated from that era?
There were quite a few, yeah. There were quite a few. But there was some other guy. In fact, can you imagine this? The very, very first comment we got on Amazon as well was one guy who absolutely detested it. He said it's an absolute waste of paper. Shame on you. That was great for a first review. I mean, God, that was not my best day, that one. But fortunately, we had several others that were much more positive.
Oh, wow. And that's, you did your other book, too, Penguin. When did you write that one?
Genesis Antarctca, yeah.
Yeah, when did you write that one?
Another Egg, Another Life, the penguins, yes.
Yeah, when you were on the show last time, I had a lot of people, even guests that came on for about a month after you were on, because I have, or at that time frame, I had a lot of mystics and, people, that were in that. And the first thing, they were very familiar with you and that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they would bring you up because they would, we'd be talking about regressions. I had a couple hypnotists who were on the show, and the first thing when we were talking about young kids, guess what? Your name popped. That book and that name just popped up like bang.
Wow! Hey, that's brilliant.
And I didn't bring it up. They brought it up.
Interesting, because it has. I mean, it's generated. Everybody I talk to about it, they all say, "Hey, that's great. I'd like to have that." And I did a couple of other shows on it, and people were really interested, but it doesn't seem to be selling.
Oh, wow!
And people are a bit wary, they're afraid that it's going to open up Pandora's box, that you're suddenly going to talk about these things to children, and they're going to start having flashbacks to some traumatic experience or something. And it doesn't, but whenever we use it with children and the people around us are using it, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's there is no confusion. I mean, for many children, it puts things into place. But I'm not, honestly, I feel very serene about it, because I think that it is it is something new, and people are going to have to get used to it. Or well, but I mean, people will get used to it ultimately.